Now 10 o'clock, and those of you that have cell phones on, please put them on silent so that we don't interrupt the meeting. Can we all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? And I also think that based on the severity of the weather and disasters that's been going on, could we also take a few minutes of silence for those poor residents in Pilger, Nebraska? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's take a few minutes of silence for those poor residents in Pilger, Nebraska. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, item 1 is the approval of the minutes for June 10th.
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. I will abstain. I was not here.
Abstain.
Discussion and approval of the claims.
Move it.
Second.
Here's a second. Discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 3, the Human Resources report, approval of the memorandum of personnel transactions. I will send that around for signatures, and I need a motion on that.
Move it.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Marshall. Is this the item where the disbursements of funds come from? Personnel transactions?
No,
Where is that? Where does the disbursement of funds?
that comes from the our financial person, and that
The
also
bills you pay.
the bills we
You
pay.
have to approve them, right?
Right, we do.
When do you approve them? Under what item?
We just approved them under
Item
the
2.
discussion of claims.
The auditor brings them in
Right.
at 9 o'clock, and we have an hour to go through them, plus they're in our homework, all of the bills. And if you've got questions, then we have the paper bill here to look at. And then that's all done between 9 and 10.
Right.
And then at 10 o'clock, then we formally approve them.
So when you formally approve them, where did you approve? Was it under claims or was it under?
It was under
personnel
claims.
transactions?
No, it was under claims.
It was under claims?
Yes.
Well, if I could, I would like to go back to that issue. You voted on it and approved it.
We voted on it. You can discuss it, but this is completely out of order, Jim. But we'll allow you to go ahead and do that.
Well, you know, I don't know, and it doesn't say, and that's why I'm asking questions. I have a question on the transactions of monies that were distributed to peoples. George, I assume you're still executive director of the Sanford Center.
Yes, I am.
And there was disbursements of about $15,000
Correct.
to the Sanford Center. And I just asked the question, was there a vote from you to abstain on that?
No, it wasn't.
And why would there not be?
Well, it appropriately could be, but I didn't abstain.
I mean, that not only applies to you, but I think that applies to everybody on this board. That if there's an issue where there might be a conflict of interest, that you come out and abstain on that issue. That's just my opinion, and I bring it up as a point that
Okay.
I think you should address in the future.
Okay, you made your point. Thank you.
And I might say too, 2 of the members on the Prevention Commission, they go through those claims every week that they're submitted. So there are 2 people that review them.
I don't dispute that. I don't
Okay.
dispute that.
Just so you know that
Right.
we're not the only eyes looking at it.
I know.
There's it. Okay.
I realize that. I'm talking about the vote on the issue and abstaining because of possible conflict of interest.
Understand your point. Let's move on. We have the authorization to sign the initiation of a hiring process.
Move it.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Then we have an approval here to, for a retiree to remain on our dental insurance program.
I do it.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Approval of a resolution, item 4, for years of service commendations.
Move it for Scott Blakely.
Second?
Okay. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Would move it for Anna Kunis.
Their second
Second.
discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Consideration of approval for appointment for Woodbury County Library Board. There are a couple of individuals there.
I move Barbara Tyler and Becky Jessen.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Although I did have a question.
Uh-huh.
I guess it's Tyler. Is it okay if they live in Kingsley? I notice she's not, the address is Kingsley. They must not have qualifications to live in Woodbury.
Must not. We can check that out though.
I mean, I'm assuming, but I just.
Yeah.
I assume that was her mailing address,
Yeah.
Okay.
but she lives in Woodbury County.
Okay.
Can we reappoint Barbara Hardy to,
We appoint Barbara Hart. She's currently on there.
she's currently on her.
Right, but she needs a
We need to
reappointment.
reappoint her.
We can do that. Okay. Is there a motion?
Move on Barbara Hardy.
Okay.
Second?
Okay. Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, item number 6 is the Homeland Security. Morning, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I have a couple of things for you today. The first is an amendment to our 2012 grant year. I'm requesting a signature for 2 items on these original copies. The first is going to extend the grant performance period by 1 week, and that's in order. So for one, it'll be a full pay period, and also will give me an opportunity during that last week to finish some of the final reports that are required by the grant. And then the second item on that is we ran out of personnel money, and there is money left in office supplies, which the state has requested to be returned in the amount of $9,000.
Okay. Any concerns, questions, ladies and gentlemen, on that?
The auditor
That
is the one that monitors this once we close your position.
My proposal is item B here, and that should have been in your packet. And these are some of the grant requirements in closing out the grants. One of the big concerns is how long the records will be retained, and they have not advised all of the grant years record retention yet, but it is going to be 5 years from the final closure date. So we're looking at retaining the records through probably 2021, I would anticipate, and they'll be announcing it as they come up with those official dates.
And that's done through the auditor then.
What I propose is that I make a binder package for each grant and give it to the auditor's office to keep on file. And then what I've outlined in here is each grant will list what equipment's been purchased. We only have to be audit the equipment biannually if it's valued over $5,000. What I propose is that since we purchased this equipment based on law enforcement's request in 16 counties, part of this proposal requests ownership to be transferred to those agencies. And then the $5,000 items, they would be advised that they need to make sure that they monitor that, and all of that information would be given to the state of the location of the equipment.
All right, then that will be monitored, let's say, Sioux County. Then their auditor would monitor that. It wouldn't be the auditor here.
Or their sheriff's office, or whoever they choose to monitor it. And then the state will do auditing visits and possibly ask to see the items.
Yeah, it's really no big deal, except if they come back and say that they want an accounting for that, then it's gotta be
But you've already set up a process, so how that's going to be audited, Michelle.
It's basically up to the state when they do their grant monitoring bids. Actually, I have one today that somebody's coming to audit the last 3 grants. So I think that what they're doing is making sure that everything is in order at this time, knowing that the offices are closing. So they have a pretty fine-tooth list that they're going through today. So after today, we'll know if there's anything else that we need to prepare for the future.
Okay.
What's the final date?
The final date proposed, is July 6th, so my last working day would be July 3rd. And, law enforcement is gonna miss the system that we've got set up. The state is trying to prepare a new information sharing system, and there's gonna be a gap for a little while until they adapt to a new system.
Well, I want to tell you, Michelle, you've done a wonderful job, in the position that you've held here. And we really do appreciate, the service that you've provided, because it's been a good service, and it's just too bad that it has to end, in this kind of a way. So we do appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
I would move on amendment number 1 for the grant agreement.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
I would move on approval of proposal for SHSP equipment and supplies.
Okay.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. You can have this back. I'm going to sign it for you right now,
Okay.
so that you can take it back with you.
No. Oh,
Been fine.
You have another one?
The bottom was
Okay.
faster.
When are the auditors coming in to go through your papers and stuff this morning?
Yeah, she's supposed to be here around 11, and it's
Is that
gonna be an
right?
all-day process.
Oh, boy.
So you might be back next week.
That's possible. Couple more weeks to handle it.
Send these back to her. Here you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Item number 7, County Treasurer, discussion of interest rates and drainage warrants.
What brought this about was Mark called me and wanted to know what the interest rate was on unpaid drainage warrants, and I told him I was not aware of the interest rates. I talked to Karen in the board office, she wasn't aware of it. Talked to Jean in the auditor's office, she wasn't aware of it. I'm not sure if there's been a resolution to set the drainage interest or not. If it has been, it must have been quite some time ago, so I'm not sure if that's something we need to revisit or not and look at the interest rate. I know the maximum interest rate in Iowa at this current time is on unpaid drainage warrants is 6%, and on special assessments 9%. So.
Well, I'm going to have to cut you off, Mike, and we're going to have to bring you back up. I've got a time set here on sales of property. That'll just take a few more minutes. Thank you, Mike. I'm sorry. Okay. Item number A is the public hearing on sales of property on item number 884-8012-03006. This property is located at 1520 South Lynn Street. Is there anyone to be heard for or against the sale of this property?
Now's not the time to bid, in a minute.
This,
Mr. Chairman, hearing no one, move the hearing to close.
okay.
Second.
Discussion? Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Now we will open the floor for bids on 1520 South Lynn. Is there anyone to bid on this property? Please give your name and the amount of that you're bidding.
My name is Sonia Redican, and my bid's $1,000.
Is there anyone else to bid on the property?
Mr. Chairman, hearing no one, move the bid of Ms. Reagan be accepted.
Okay. Is there a second?
second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, Mr. Redican, very good. You can go You can walk through here if you want to,
Okay.
and visit with,
They'll take your money right in there.
I've visited Karen.
With Karen?
And
Okay.
yes, square away if that was the.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number B is the suspension for CT.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We have another suspension for PD.
Move it.
Second. Okay. Those in favor of the discussion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 9 is the county sheriff.
Want to go back to that?
Oh, let's go back to 7, please. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let Mark tell you where this all started, so.
Just as a matter of background, it's been a very long time since you've had drainage warrants that were not paid in full at the time they were written. For the most part, we've had adequate cash balances to pay the bills for maintenance and other things as they come in. This is specifically the Orton Slough in this case. We've exceeded the amount that they have in their balance, and drainage warrants have a value to the holder of those warrants, whether it's a contractor or, in this case, I think it's the newspaper in Mobile, where they can sell these to a bank to get the money immediately, and then the bank holds those at the interest rate before it sells. So most counties have an interest rate set for these so that they can be sold and they do have market value. And right now we've got INS Group holding warrants, and we have the Mobile newspaper that are holding warrants at this time. So at this point in time, if they take them as a check, the check bounces. So they have to be able to take and sell those to a bank. The bank has to know what their value is over time until the taxes catch up and pay those warrants back. So it's up to the board, really. One of your duties under 468 is to set a rate for drainage warrants.
I think it's set by the state.
The state sets the maximum.
Right.
And then the individual boards, as trustees of drainage districts, can set whatever they feel is appropriate.
What is the rate?
Maximum is
rate?
6%.
6%?
The state, right.
And what is our rate at this point?
Well, that's
When
kind
we
of what
were
we're asking.
able to discover it may have been set by the board a very long time ago, but we think it's pertinent to go and take a look at this and have you establish one. I don't see a decision on this, so next week, if we had a consensus of the board where we should set it, I suppose we draft a resolution.
I would think that we do it. Dennis?
In the resolution, couldn't we draft this in a form that sets it a maximum rate for when the state sets, so they don't have to come back, the state loses 7%, they have to come back again, and do that with the mileage, I think, don't we, Gene, on federal reimbursement?
Yes.
As it fluctuates, it automatically fluctuates, so they don't have to come back every time the rate changes.
The rate is set by a board at the state level, a board of bankers and credit unions and the state treasurer and that. So they meet periodically and set the rate. So I guess Dennis's suggestion that if you want to do that, set it at the maximum rate allowed by the state, you can do that. So, which right now is 6%.
Yeah. I'd like to take that as a suggestion, yeah.
Is 6% what you'd recommend?
In our current climate, I think 6% is a little high, but I'd be more than happy to buy all those unpaid warrants at 6%. You know, the county treasurer would certainly like that type of investment. So,
Well, I have trouble with setting it 6% because nothing else is paying it.
Well, we have to sell them, and what we charge for late payments on the real estate and everything else, 6% is not really out of whack.
if you sell taxes at tax sale, yeah, the interest rate is 24%.
Yeah,
It is?
2% a month or
Wow.
something.
That's probably the maximum allowed by state law also.
Well, they'll go quick at 6%.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we
Get
just,
out of this building at 6%.
I just received a letter here from the ISI, and they had sold off the warrants that they were holding. They sold them off to gentleman Storm Lake for 6%. So.
Okay. Well, let's get something set, and maybe get it on the agenda for next week as a resolution if we can do that. Would he do that through you, Mike?
Yeah, I can work with Dennis on
With
that.
Dennis and working that out?
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item number 9 is the county sheriff approval of the resolution to approve 28E agreement. Yes, sir.
It's 28E agreement between Sergeant Bluff and Woodbury County Sheriff's Office. Just basically spells out what we already do, working together. When they need our assistance, we assist them. When we need their assistance, they assist
Great.
us.
Yep.
So it's a year, and then it has to be renewed. I just don't think it's been done in a while. So
Is this the only city or town you do it with, or do you have this arrangement with more than?
all the 28Es are like
This
that.
is just-
There are some towns we don't have them with yet, but eventually you hope to have some type of an agreement for law enforcement with all the towns.
This is unique in that Sergeant Bluff has a police force.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
They're not requesting any contract services for us.
Move it.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Real
Discussion.
quick, I'd like to echo your sentiments on Michelle. I know she left. I've been in law enforcement for 20 years, and the one thing about that organization is it kept everybody in the loop.
Absolutely.
And it's, I don't know how you keep law enforcement in the loop if when that organization goes away and we're gonna take a big hit. Same thing with the equipment, it's now gonna fall on the agencies and probably the sheriff's office for the next 5 years. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of work that she does for all law enforcement. She handled that for everyone, so I just wanted to echo your sentiments.
Thank you.
That's a big loss, and she was an awesome person to have running that
Absolutely.
organization.
Because she
Thank
And
you.
it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 10, Diane.
Hi, how are you guys this morning? I'm here to request the board to approve and sign a contract, an additional contract with COT. It's for the redaction of the microfilm that they, from 1972 to 1994, they've turned it into images, and we have an online index. And now this is for those images to go through redaction, like the Code of Iowa says, so they can be put online. And it's going to be paid through records management.
All right.
Move it.
There's a second?
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Karen has both of them for you to
All
sign.
right, I'll get it signed. Thank you, Diane. Mr. Nair, we've been anxious waiting on you for a report, and you've got a lot of items here, but I know that you're going to be.
Which way do you want to go? My
Well, let's
report first or the agenda?
no, let's go with the agenda
This
item.
should go pretty quickly.
Okay, let's do that.
I want to table the award of the quotations for the 2 motor graders. They're pending on our decision on item B for the truck-mounted hydraulic excavator. We are exploring other alternatives on the truck-mounted excavator. It's a replacement of an existing machine. I guess I'll discuss B first. We currently have a Great-All XL 4100. We took quotations. There are no other competitive machines available in this part of the country. We couldn't get the other part of the country even to take a look at us for a bid, and I assume we wouldn't have part support anyway. So we are exploring alternative pieces of equipment that are still road mobile, but they don't deploy as quickly as the XL 4100 does. The XL 4100, for your information, it's a truck-mounted backhoe basically, although it has a straight telescoping boom. It runs at road speeds. We're looking at some alternatives that look like a typical track-mounted hydraulic excavator on rubber tires. We can almost buy 2 of those for the price of 1 Great-All. The Great-All has some terrific advantages for use on the road, particularly in times like this where we're battling flooding all over the county. It can get to where we need it fairly quickly without being loaded up on a whole trailer and hauled somewhere else. The excavator with the 2 motor graders broke my equipment budget by over $58,000. So I really have 3 alternatives. One's to expand that budget. 2 is perhaps buy the Great-All and only 1 motor grader. 3 is to explore a different piece of equipment. So we're gonna take at least 1 to 2 weeks to explore some of our options. I think our quotations are good for that period. It also governs the type of motor grader we're going to buy. We're looking at the all-wheel drive motor graders this time. District 2 does not currently have any. I would like to at least acquire one, so we've got one of those all-wheel drive models in every one of our 4 districts. They're more efficient in the hills. They move snow much more quickly. You can imagine when you're putting all 6 wheels and 40,000 pounds of machinery
Right.
on the ground, it does better than just 2 wheels pushing it up every hill. But we were over $90,000 over budget with the 2 all-wheel drive excavator, or 2 all-wheel drive motor graders and the excavator. So we need a little additional time to take a look at this.
Okay.
And we're trying to demo a piece of equipment here in the next couple of weeks.
So we're gonna table A and B then?
Yes, that's my recommendation at
Okay.
this point.
Is there a motion to do that?
Is there a date that you want to table to, or just a table?
I'll bring it back for the agenda for the board's consideration when we're ready to go, if that's okay.
How long? Is it a week, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
A
okay.
week to 2 weeks. With the flooding,
Right,
it's gonna be hard to get
Absolutely.
everything around, so.
so we need a motion to table it for 2 weeks.
Move it.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, let's go to item C then.
Consideration of the award for project LBL 136. This is, low bid was Dixon at $497,757.65. We recommend award to Dixon Construction.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
The second one is a replacement of the 185th Street Bridge. Dixon was also the low bid here at $580,087.40.
Move it.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Item E.
The next item is the approval of a permit for CF Industries to place a water main within the right-of-way of 255th Street and CF Drive. This will be incorporated into the new road embankment that we're building that will be the permanent plant entrance for the CF North plant. We've worked with their consultant. They have requested an opportunity to move the water line. We've now reached a satisfactory location for it, so the information that was provided in your packet is outdated, and as-built plans will be included in our records of the permit, but we have reached a new location for that line to be placed.
Those, you need a motion on this one.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item F.
Can you pass that down?
Sure.
Next item is the approval of a resolution for the annexation of the Hackley lateral to the Farmers Drainage District. For about the last 9 months, some of the folks that are property owners along the Hackley lateral, that's a project that you guys completed in 2010, I want to say, have been discussing with the Farmers District annexation to the Farmers Drainage District. It's really the only east-west lateral that was not part of the Farmers. This one running along the north half of the county line. They have had more than 50% of the landowners, representing 50% of the associated land, sign a petition to annex to the Farmers Drainage District. This will remove this drainage district from the board's supervision as trustees and place it with the trustees of the Farmers Drainage District.
Great idea.
Is there a motion? There's a
Love
motion.
that.
Oh, you got it. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
This also requires that the auditor attest to it. That's just copies of the petitions for when we, that are attached to it. Yes, please. Yeah, it also need to be signed by the auditor.
Okay.
Item G.
Next item is an amended resolution for the Bennett, McDonald, and Smithland districts. Back in December, we had run this through As the levees were being placed upon the land, an error was found. So we've had to adjust a couple of the land masses and their percentages that are protected within the district. This doesn't change the folks that are paying the bill. It made a 1% difference in Morghorst and a 1% difference in McCall.
Move it.
Okay. Your second?
Second.
Okay. Further discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
And now I guess you're wanting to hear about.
Well, we'd like to hear about what's going on there, and I know you called me this weekend and
Yeah.
gave me an update of what the status was at that time, and that was
Last
before
night,
we got the
last
big
night
rain.
changed the situation greatly.
Yeah, I imagine it did.
Overnight, we've lost 2 bridges.
Wow.
We lost on Morgan Trail. We lost a bridge. I can't think of the name of the stream right now. This is just about half a mile north and a half mile east of Odo. It was not one of the bridges that was in our funding program, but it was one that was in our under 25 sufficiency rating, structurally deficient, functionally obsolete category. I think it's in our construction program, but I've really got to double check and see where it's at. Loss of the bridge is probably at least $500,000 to $600,000 loss. It was destroyed in its entirety. Second bridge that's been damaged and is likely done is on Haskell Avenue north of Mobile. As you know, Mobile goes up and then bends to the northeast.
Right.
We've got that road that goes straight up to County Road K64. That's the bridge that lost its pier last night. High water has apparently swept that pier out of there, undermined it, and it's gone. It is closed. Both of these are long-term closures. Total loss between the 2 bridges is probably in the neighborhood of $1 million. We're out still assessing road damage. Highway 141 went underwater again last night at D38. I'm glad we didn't have a bridge done there yet. We're hauling material out from under it again as soon as the water goes down. That's really changed what my preliminary bridge design this most recent experience, and seeing where that water goes. We'll be making some adjustments as we design that replacement. That's a fiscal year 2016 project at this point. So when it comes through, it'll be a larger bridge and higher than I had originally planned. So we're going to try and get up to where it'll let some of this debris pass that's clogging that bridge, and try and keep those 2 key intersections open. We still don't have 141 open on the West Fork of the Little Sioux. I don't know if you guys saw KTIV news coverage last night. I hope it was as good as the reporter got with the footage. You could see the undermined pavement. She actually let me get a little information out about, this is why we tell you don't cross bridges when things are underwater.
Right.
Because you could have been on the pavement east of the bridge and fallen in that third hole where the pavement had actually fallen away right up to the edge line of the pavement. We had planned to do that work today. We're waiting to see what the West Fork's going to do before we go out there and try and start making repairs. There's no sense having it immediately washed out. We've got part of L27 closed right now. We've suffered at least 3 road embankment failures. And that's where we've lost the soil and the vertical profile up to 20 feet vertical, right up to the edge of the road. And a couple areas of the road's undermined. I had been out doing an assessment. I spoke to him right before I came in the boardroom. It's one of the reasons I was late today. It looks like we'll be able to repair those with our crews, but it's going to take a matter of days. We're starting to mobilize District 3 staff to come up and take care of that. We have a similar embankment failure on County Road D50. We've already started working with the adjacent landowner. that road will be set up as a single lane road. We'll be putting out stop, please alternate signs. Basically, it's the unmanned flagger station we'll be setting up there to try and keep it open in the northbound or southbound half of the road. I'm sorry, it's not. It would be westbound. I got to think about which direction D50 is going. It's right near a curve where the road settled out, and that one may take a little longer to cure. It looks like we can fix L27, then we'll just keep moving up the road and hit that one on D50.
D50, that's a new highway.
It will be. I'm sorry, we should be D50. It's D51 on that side. It's D50 on the west side. It's D51 over here. We repaired that stretch, but I don't think that's a stretch it's in. I haven't seen it yet, Mark, and Ben was just describing it to me on the map. He didn't tell me which mile point that the defect was in. I can only report that we've got a stretch that's bad, and we're working to keep traffic flowing for the interim. We've had a lot of slides and slips of not only the road embankment, but the embankments above our roads. And some of those, we have to allow them to stabilize before we go out and begin to make repairs. So we'll have a very busy month where we're prioritizing and trying to take care of items like this. But we were rolling again when water crested the road, I think about 4:30 this morning on 141 just near Sergeant Bluff between D38 and Bronson Blacktop. So that again did go underwater with last night's rains. Good deal of work out there. We're just starting to make preliminary assessments. We're getting photos of everything. We're treating it as if it is potential for FEMA funding, so we can maximize our cost share with FEMA on repairs and damages we're taking care of. We'll have a lot better picture next time we see you. I will try and keep the chair posted. So
yeah, you have, and I appreciate that. How do we, I mean, when do we reach a point where you have to declare the area maybe as a disaster area or whatever? Is that the assessment that you're talking about?
That will be part of it. I'll be visiting with Gary. We've been on the phone a couple times already. He is on vacation, but
he's called me a couple of times. Yeah.
We did have some concerns down at Hornick today.
He called me about that this morning.
Yeah, and my staff had been down there. The water was still 2 feet below the top of that
dike,
Garrettson Dike. So it's under observation. The water was already coming down at the north reaches, so we were thinking if it hadn't crested earlier, it's cresting now. I haven't had a chance to get down there yet, but that's the direction I'm headed when I get out of here.
Well, I mean, you know, he explained to me that, you know, the mayor had called him and requested, you know, some sandbags, and he was, you know, willing to let the folks, you know, have the sandbags, but there was really no plan or structure on how those sandbags are going to be used down there. And secondly, just to inform the board that if sandbags are given out to a town, they're going to have to replace them because he has no other means of doing that. So he was willing to do it, but it sounds like, you know, the situation down there was kind of chaotic because they did not have a plan on the use or the amount or and even I guess the request came to you for sand, and they didn't know you know, the amount of sand that would be needed. It was just a lot of untied ends.
Right. Each of the communities, and I know Gary has been trying to work with this, but you know, most of the folks that are involved with this are volunteers, and it's your volunteer firefighters. Yeah. They already have to do, what, 80 hours of training a year, and it's hard for them to find time for everything. I mean, those guys are terrific folks. We rely on them, and I was out looking at the dike with Bob Nelson from Hornick this week.
Right, that's one of the people that he works with closely.
Right, and those are the guys that usually pick up command of these, but really each of those towns should be taking a look, and maybe this is just a good reminder to take a look at the vital facilities they have to protect. Their wellheads, their water treatment facilities, their sewage treatment and pumps, and make sure that they know the elevations between them and the predicted levels on the streams that are nearby, so that when they know they've got a flood predicted at stage 23.6, 3.6 above their flood stage, they know how high they have to be to protect those facilities with a sandbag wall. And, 4 feet of sandbag wall is roughly 8 to 10 feet at the base, and then built up to a little over 4.5 feet, so you've got a foot of freeboard above the crest. I mean, that's not a few hundred bags, that's a couple thousand bags that need to be filled. And that's difficult to accomplish in very short term, especially if you don't know. I mean, their wellhead may be 3 feet above where they'd only need half a foot. But these are the kind of things that each of the communities needs to know. Some of them have very well developed plans. I think Correctionville and Anthem both know where things are at from the issues they've had on West Fork. But each of the communities probably needs to look at doing a little bit of planning with that. And I know the EOC would be willing to assist them. So.
Oh, yeah.
Have you looked at the Orton Slough?
Yes.
I think you ought to go out and take some pictures. It's very telling.
I took pictures Sunday, and the Orton Slough looked a lot like it did back in 2007. Water is flowing through the system. And I think it's another situation of it's taking almost 10.5 inches of rain just as fast as it'll let it run out. I was out there Sunday, got photos of everything but the intake. We tried to get to the intake yesterday. It was submerged. We could see current headed in a direction, but Ben was up to here in his chest waders. So there was just no. Right now it's flood storage, and as soon as that water comes down, we'll check everything again. But things appear to be working. I haven't been down to the outlet. I had been out checking the road slides and assisting the foreman this morning, so taking care of roads are our first job. And we'll try and get a look at the ordinance, see. I mean, if that outlet's performing like it did in 2011, it's doing all it can.
It did, right.
Again, a 20-inch pipe, when it's 6,600 feet downstream, will not be flowing full. There's head losses all through that pipe, and unless you can pump water, which is not a capability of that system, it's just flowing under gravity. And if this performs like it did in 2011, we're probably looking at another 3 weeks of water pounded out there.
It's a lot of crop damage.
Most definitely.
Railroad Bridge Tunnel is about 6 inches from the top.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet today. It was down about 9 inches from the top yesterday, is what Ben said. It was about 6 inches down from the top when I was out there Sunday. And I'm guessing it's right back up there again. So.
Yep.
When you look at the water quality there compared to the water quality on our other streams, there is a little bit of sediment load, but it is not like what's come down the Farmers, the Garretts, and the West Fork.
Is that right?
We're talking about the difference between chocolate milk and milk. I know the folks on Browns Lake are concerned about sedimentation, but you don't have gravity allowing that water to flow and allowing as much soil to get mobile on the Orton Slough as you do on the larger watersheds that are receiving all that water from uplands.
Have we ever checked the water quality that goes into Browns from that?
Not that I'm aware of, Mark. I suppose we could look at grabbing some samples just to send them in for analysis. Typically you test that for coliforms, probably bacteria. You could do a nitrate analysis on the water. I'll maybe talk to certified testing and see what we can do about having them grab some samples. They're otherwise not engaged right now because this pond, the plant site is very wet from what I understand. So.
Well, they're complaining about the nitrates running into Browns.
It would be interesting to capture some samples and see what we've actually got during the period. I mean, this is a chance to learn something, so I can arrange that if you'd like.
I think it's a good
I think
idea.
I think it's a good idea, yeah. Good
Ought to
suggestion.
take some samples of brown slate too.
Well, state is doing that on a regular basis. Those
Okay,
are available
yeah.
in public. There's no sense in
No,
doing that.
duplicating what they're
I would
doing.
anticipate that they'll be taking some water samples and determining whether or not they're gonna have to close the beaches or anything during the duration of this flood, so.
CF road hold up?
The haul roads, according to my staff, have held up well. I've been that way right now, so I was gonna run down there on my way to take a look at the situation at Hornick, Sloan, and those other areas. You know, right now, it just takes those flat ground, you see a lot of flooded fields. It takes time for that water either to percolate away or move as best it can in culverts. We've heard about some flooded basements. I saw 2 houses at least that had water in the first floor water. They're houses that are located in the floodplain.
Right, yeah.
And, when you look at it, and the house is here, and the dike's over here, you wonder, why did they ever put a house there? And it wasn't because of failure of the dike, it was
No.
just water.
Except
that
it
was
was water coming
headed
in.
toward the
Right.
drainage
Wow.
district.
Absolutely.
And, you know, to prevent water from backing out of those, they don't have flap gates. Those gates can't open until the water in the ditch goes down.
Yeah.
And we haven't had the chance for that to occur yet. It's a widespread problem. Reports I've had so far today are between 2.5 and 4 inches of rain. I heard the Weather Bureau said 3 to 7 overnight. Over the weekend, we had reports from 4.5 inches down around Sloan, 5.5 inches at Smithland, 11.5 inches southeast of Mobile. And then I think the official report was about 7 at the airport. Or something.
That's a lot of water.
It's been a lot of water coming wide. We had more than one farmer who dumped his gauge Saturday night before he went to bed and found it full again the next morning. And those are the folks that were reporting that 10 to 11.5 inches of rain. So it's, I'm glad we didn't get the tornadoes.
Yeah, yeah.
About the only bright spot for us, but we have a lot of water that's running off. I've had reported quite a few basements that are getting water that have never had it before, but I don't think we've seen an event like this in the last 14 years at least.
Or longer, yeah.
I think you had a good flood in 93, was probably the last one.
98.
98.
We got 10 inches or something.
Yeah, we did.
But again, I think this one really illustrates the Orton. If you haven't driven down there, it's pretty instructive on, you know, the Orton is designed to take care of excessive rains. The ground can only suck up so much so fast.
That's right.
You know, it doesn't matter where the water table is.
That is right.
It can only take so much. And then the rest is runoff. And this will be a reminder for the folks down there as they enter to their decision on giving their trustees guidance on where they go next.
Absolutely.
There's going to be some very interested.
I'm sure that's true, yeah. It's,
Change the subject to do, I haven't had a chance to answer yet.
I can give the board the answer today that I'll provide for the ombudsman. Larry had received a letter from the state ombudsman. It's in regard to a long-standing practice where the road department has picked up broken concrete from farms. We have had a couple of property owners, or I'm sorry, not property owners, but private contractors who expressed concern about that activity. They would prefer to see the county stay away from doing that because they feel we're unfairly competing with them. Number one, this is not work we do in the season where we ought to be repairing, building roads, taking out snow traps, grading, blading, graveling. We don't do it in that season of the year. We primarily do this in the November, December, January when we don't have snow. We're not tearing down buildings. We're not typically digging up a foundation, although occasionally we will take the broken concrete and pull it out because we don't get as much dirt mixed in it as the others do. We don't take material with a lot of rebar in it. We use this material for riprap. We recycle it into aggregate aggregates, either for erosion stone, which is a larger 4-inch to 1-inch gradation, or into a roadstone style gradation. This practice goes back, I think, all the way to Lloyd Cowson. I'm guessing that
It's true.
the two of you have been aware of
Yeah.
at least for quite a while. I mean, this is not something that we have to do. It does help us. The other option we have available is we can just take the broken concrete from sources and allow them to bring it to us. Again, this is one of those things where I think the county, I don't want to say attitude, but the county policy has been one hand washes the other. The farmers derive benefit and we derive benefit by having a ready source. We're not close to any riprap aggregates, so broken concrete is a product that we have use for.
So it does save the county money or the taxpayer money actually, because you'd have to purchase that riprap or that material if it was not available.
That's correct.
And the farmers are not charging you anything to come on their property and take it away.
No, they're not. And again, we are not getting into the tearing down of
Right,
the
right.
property. You know, that is something that we can adjust. We can just make our piles available, and then we would only be hauling in the material ourselves that we generate when we take out a culvert or break up a box culvert. It's a practice that we've just continued because to this point it's been advantageous to us. We have had no desire to compete with the private contractors. And again, we've refrained from...
Are there a number of private contractors that's complained about it, or what?
I believe it's 2 that, that are a couple of our smaller earth-moving contractors that also do this kind of work and apparently express their concern to the ombudsman.
Okay.
So
let's just prepare the answer to him.
Yeah, and let them go from there.
Yeah, I can answer with what our practice has been, the where's
Sure,
and why.
I think that's the way to go.
And then wait to see if they've got any guidance. I don't know if Joshua has any thoughts or...
I think that sounds like a good plan for you to prepare the answer and then see if there's any direction from the ombudsman's office.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Very good report. Got your hands full. Really, we have our hands full. I'm just not going to put you into it. We have our hands full. Okay, thank you. Item number 12 is hearing if any individual or group wishing to make a presentation to the board on an item not on the agenda. Anyone?
Chairman, I move we recess until 1:30.
Okay, there's a second. Thank you.
The road department